Welcome to the You're Not Crazy podcast, hosted by Jessica Knight, a certified life coach who specializes in healing from narcissistic and emotional abuse. This podcast is intended to help you identify manipulative and abusive behavior, set boundaries with yourself and others, and heal the relationship with yourself so you can learn to love in a healthy way. You can connect with Jessica and find additional resources, content, and coaching at emotionalabusecoach.com.
Hello, and thank you for being here. Before we dive in, I want to go through the fine print and share how we can work together. Because healing from this kind of pain takes a lot more than time. It takes the right kind of support. I work with people entangling themselves from emotionally abusive relationships, coercive control, trauma bonds, high conflict co-parenting dynamics, high conflict divorce, and if you're at the beginning of the road and wondering what divorce would look like. I offer one-on-one coaching at every stage. If you're still in the relationship, if you're unsure if it's abuse, if you know it's abuse but you're having trouble understanding what that looks like, or what to do with it, I can help you name what's happening, start setting boundaries that work for you, and figure out what you need. If you're thinking about leaving, we'll explore what that might look like in a grounded and personalized way. If you're navigating divorce or custody or co-parenting with a high conflict person, I can help you document, strategize, and stay emotionally anchored, especially when you're being gaslit, discredited, and re-traumatized by the legal system. If you've already left and you're stuck in the trauma bond, or if you've been discarded and struggling to feel like yourself again, I can help you rebuild self-trust and reconnect with your own nervous system in a way that actually feels doable. Everything I do is highly personalized. I don't walk you through a one-size-fits-all program. I listen, I reflect, and I guide you based on what you're facing right now. And some people work with me through a one-time validation call, which is offered on my website, where we zero in on one issue you're struggling with and start to untangle it together. Others work with me on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, depending on what's going on in your specific situation. And this is especially helpful when healing from emotional abuse and also in divorce. If you're curious about starting, I offer a $25 intro call, which if you listen to my older episodes, I call it a clarity call. It used to be free, and I talk about it at a later episode, but really a lot of people were no-showing to those calls, and that was taking away time from clients that I do work one-on-one with. And so if we move forward, I just take that fee and apply it to your first session. That intro call is just for us to get on the same page so you can share what's going on for you and I can share how I might be able to help. I only take a limited number of those calls per month because one-on-one coaching is the core of my work. Out of all these offerings that I have, one-on-one coaching is the thing that I do the most, and I do it 6 days a week most of the time, 5 to 6 days a week. And so if my calendar looks full and if there's not a time that you can get in, you can email me at jessicaknightcoaching.com, and I always try and make space where I can. And I may also always have a few openings from one-on-one client reschedules. You can also explore self-paced courses and toolkits at jessicaknight.thinkific.com, including Divorcing a Narcissist 101 and the Emotional Abuse Breakthrough course. I have a documentation course and my new signature program, Unhooked, which is a private podcast and course that walks you through the full cycle of abuse, helps you map it in your relationship and how to break it and how to begin to see what it really is that you're going through. If you want ongoing support in a more flexible way, you could always check out my Substack at jessicaknight.substack.com. Each month I focus on a different theme, from trauma bonding to divorce to cluster B to sexual coercion to emotional abuse to toxic breakups. Those are just some from this year. Paid members get access to monthly deep dives, master classes, Q&As, strategy kits, and I'm working on some more group options. There is also a free option and a monthly option. So please head over to Substack. The link is in my show notes. You also can just search Jessica Knight Coaching and I'll come up. Everything that I create is meant to help. My coaching, my writing, my courses, this podcast, it's built around the one truth that you're not crazy. You are conditioned to doubt your reality, and I want to help you change that and understand what you're going through. If you like this podcast, the best thing that you can do is subscribe and rate the episode 5 stars. You can find me on my websites, emotionalabusecoach.com and high-conflict divorcecoaching.com. All of the offerings that I just mentioned are also in the show notes below. Now let's get to the episode. Hello, and thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go over a practice that I have done over the last couple of years. I think I started in 2017 because as a New Yorker, there were some things I did every year. And usually that included like going to a yoga class because one, there's 3,000 in New York, and two, it makes it a very special time of year. And New Year's Eve has always been, like, if anything, was my favorite holiday because it's probably about like, even when life is falling apart, there's something about like everybody standing at this like same threshold of time in some way, and like there being a permission to start again, even though I do believe I can have that anytime. Like I literally believe like, you know, if I decide I'm going to do this differently tomorrow, I'm going to do it differently tomorrow. But I love that for a day, the world sees that reflection matters. But I know that this time of year can also be incredibly hard. And if you've been living through abuse, trauma, or survival, like endings force honesty. And it really does feel sometimes like it magnifies everything that you're carrying. And so when everyone else is posting champagne photos and resolutions, it can feel like you're actually barely holding yourself together. So instead of resolutions, I want to share something I've done every year since 2017. And it's simple, it's honest, and I think it meets us exactly where we are. And so in the backstory of this is New Year's Eve 2017, my ritual, like I said, was go to a yoga class. And I did go that day. And the instructor suggested an exercise that stuck with me. She gave out 2 cards. And every person there got 2 index cards. And you had one for the year that you're leaving and one for the year that you're stepping into. This wasn't about goals. It wasn't about achievements. It was just about like the words that you put down. And I had 2 index cards. I have since done it on like a journal page or a special journal page that I tuck away. I've done it every year since. And a few years ago, I pulled out the very first cards I ever wrote. And at that time, I was really deeply depressed. And I knew that I needed to leave my marriage. I was circling the truth, trying to gather courage to say I'm actually done, not just I might be done. And I recorded an Instagram reel at the time when I was reading the words, and I actually got like stopped in my tracks as I was writing the year that I was leaving. And I'm going to go through the words that I actually said because I think it's important. Longing, struggle, judgment of others, not enough, ugly, insecure, grasping, guarded, doubtful, scared, disconnected, wanting to not be me, up and down and back and forth. I've seen the card since, and seeing those words every time actually grounded me back to the reality instead of shaming me of, wow, that's what it felt like. And I would be a complete liar if I said it's been sunshine and rainbows since, because it has not been, but it's at least felt like it has more personal power. I have my intuition back. I have my self-trust back. I remember sitting in that class trying to write words for the new year ahead, feeling completely blank. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what was possible. I just wanted to know that my daughter and I would be okay. So instead of confident, polished intentions, I want to feel what love feels like. I want to journal. I want to write. I want to be in places that feel like me. I want to feel energized by my work. I want abundance and ease and trust. I want to know that we'll be okay. And I even wrote the name of the baby I lost to a miscarriage that year. And at the time, it was less about wanting something specific, but more about wanting reassurance, like wanting safety, wanting to believe that like the soul would come back, no matter if I left the relationship, that my dream of another baby isn't gone. Looking back now, I can see how like unsure and scared that version of me was. And the reason I'm sharing it is because when you've been in an abusive or coercive dynamic, your inner compass is completely scrambled. You are so used to limiting your own thoughts and your own beliefs and monitoring somebody else's moods and reactions. And you're used to surviving the moment, not thinking about the future. So when someone says, what are your goals for next year? What's your resolutions? Your nervous system just freezes. And I think that this practice doesn't ask you to know about the future, because in recent years, I wrote words that I wanted for the future. I didn't write like these sentences, but the thing is you can make it be whatever you want. So when someone says, what's your goals? You could say, I don't know, but I do know what I want to feel. Or you could just say, it's, none of your business. The practice doesn't ask you to know your future. It just asks you to tell the truth about the present and to ask yourself, what did this year feel like? What words are coming up when you think about it? That's card 1. This year, 2025. What did this year feel like? What words live in your body? You can do it carefully. You can do it messy. You can do it without judgment. Like I said, some people write words, some sentences, some move month by month. I've seen people go, what did January feel like? What shifted towards the spring? When did your body tighten? And then after you feel complete, you go to the next year, 2026. Not promises, not proof, not resolutions, just permission to feel something different. Safety, rest, clarity, stillness, trusting yourself again. Even if a part of you says, what if it doesn't happen? Just write it anyway. You're not manifesting things perfectly. You're naming what your nervous system longs for. And then I think the final step is putting it away, not keeping it out as a reminder, but almost like, I'll tell you what I do, and then you get to decide what you do for you. But I always put it in my journal, whichever journal I'm using at the time. I've been journaling since I've been 13, so there's quite a few. And I put that in the back of the journal. And I only really ever go back at my journals if I'm looking for something. And every once in a while, I'll reflect back, because it's not about holding yourself accountable. It's about realizing that you can want something new for yourself. I have had people write down some of the words that they have wanted and put it up on Post-its or put something as a reminder. I've created Pinterest boards of like what I want to feel different. And obviously there's like action that go with it, but you don't have to kind of sit there and bang it into your head that this is your thing. It's really more about allowing yourself to grow in ways that you can't really see at the time and keep going. And if you're ending this year exhausted, if you're grieving, if you're disillusioned, or if you're entangling yourself, there really isn't anything that's wrong with you. You don't have to fake optimism around this time of year. You can actually just pause and say, this is where I've been, and maybe this is what I want more of. I hope that this practice helps you feel more you throughout the day. And if you're listening to this podcast and it's days or weeks or months after the new year, you still have permission to do it. I hope it's helpful. And I'm going to attach the post that I wrote about this on Substack here, so that if you kind of need a journal prompt list, you can go there and get it. Like I said, I hope it's helpful. I hope this new year makes you feel more like you. And I hope that however you spend the 31st, even if it was horrible, that you are listening to yourself and your voice, because you don't need to go into another year gaslighting yourself. All of the ways that you can find me are in my show notes.